Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
Really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
Welcome to Weather Weekly. I am so looking forward to this one. Combining two of my passions here, some weather and some sports. It is the month of May in Indianapolis, and happy late May to you. I'm meteorologist Marcus Bailey with Wish TV Storm Track 8 in Indianapolis, and this is episode number 16 of Weather Weekly. Love to have you along here. We're going to have a fun one today. We are in, as we're recording this, on May 25th, it is officially Indy 500 week. So we're super excited. This is always a big week here in Indianapolis, even with only 40% capacity coming up to Sunday's race, the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500. You're still talking about over 100,000 people that are going to be in attendance for the greatest spectacle in racing. So we're going to kind of talk to, I mentioned this earlier, we're going to talk to Scott Sander, my coworker, and he is extremely knowledgeable and passionate about the Indianapolis 500. We're going to talk about some memories here and kind of how weather has played a role in years past in the running of the Indianapolis 500. So it should be a fun one here to kind of talk about some of our memories. He's been to several races. I've been to a few where weather has played a huge role in either kind of postponing the race or shortening the race. And so we'll chat a little bit about that. So we're super excited about that. Do want to give a quick recap on what we've seen over the last week and some things that are going to be coming forward here. We're kind of delaying a little bit some other podcasts just because we're coming up on the Indianapolis 500. This past week, we recognized the 10-year anniversary of the deadly Joplin tornado. Hard to believe that was 10 years ago. Just a devastating day there in Missouri. A lot of those images still just are stills in my mind. Just incredible damage from an EF5 that destroyed much of Joplin and a lot of, unfortunately, fatalities with that. We may be kind of talking about that here in either next week's episode or the episode after. We'll jump with Stephen Deanna, who is very good with a lot of the historical stuff, and sit and spend some time on that. It's a pretty active weather along the Central Plains. Numerous tornadoes up and down the plains from the Dakotas all the way to Texas and even Colorado over this past week. Here in central Indiana, it was relatively quiet. We had kind of a back building high that came off the Atlantic, and it finally, for the first time for the month of May, warmed us into the 80s. It took almost 20 days to get there, but we finally first had our first 80-degree temperature last Friday, and we've seen several in a row now. And as we're recording this on, again, a Tuesday, looking at another day of mid to upper 80s, so some summer-like heat on the way, but it does look like we'll have some changes, of course. At the end of this podcast, we'll look ahead to the rest of the week forecast here. So some interesting stuff coming down the line. I don't want to spend too much time because I'm going to spend a good portion of this podcast here talking about all things the Indianapolis 500 with my good buddy Scott Sander, my coworker here at Wish TV, as we gear you up for the 105th running of the greatest spectacle in racing. More on that with Scott Sander. He's my guest here on Weather Weekly. Next.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And, of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Welcome back to Weather Weekly, episode number 16. We're excited about this, tying in two of my favorite things here, weather and Indianapolis sports, and specifically, it is the week of the Indianapolis 500, the 105th running. So, I brought in my good friend, our Wish TV expert, I call him, but I love to talk to him about racing because he goes to a lot of the races, and he's very passionate about the Indianapolis 500. That would be one Scott Sander. Thanks for joining me, buddy.
You kidding? Thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
This is going to be fun. I don't know if we may be here for 3 hours talking about this stuff.
This is longer than the race.
I want to give Scott a shout out too. He is not only going to be anchoring our Daybreak race day coverage on Sunday, but he has the awesome opportunity to be a pit reporter for the Indy Car Radio Network, which is extremely prestigious. And I can't think of very many people, and the people that are qualified to do it are already doing it, more qualified than you. So I'm excited for you.
Well, I'm stoked. I'm terrified. It's probably good to be nervous in your job from time to time, and I think this is pushing it even beyond that edge. So we'll see.
It means you care.
Yeah.
So and you obviously do a lot about it. Before we because I want to tie in, and I've done many of stories since I've been at Wish TV, tying in weather and the Indy 500, because it is probably one of the most stressful forecasts as a meteorologist.
Oh, careers have been won and lost on that forecast.
Like, I don't care if I miss a snowfall by 5 inches, but if I blow the 500 forecast, So we're going to kind of talk about how it ties in. But I kind of want to talk about first your history with the 500, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
So as a kid, I just always remember, my parents are both from Indianapolis, both went to Broad Ripple. So, it was just always sort of part of the culture, even before the family was really specifically into the race. You were, especially in the 70s, my tricycle had an STP sticker on it. I mean, it was just, you knew who Andy Granatelli was as well as you know who your pastor was. I mean, it was just, so it was just, beg your pardon, it was all part of it. In 1982, I had a chance to finally go to the race for the first time, so I would have been 11 years old, which, I'd for years wanted to, but, it was kind of a thing you had to sort of earn,
Sure.
So you can be able to take, because of the weather, it could be a 7-hour day.
Oh, yeah.
And back then it took you 5 hours to get to the track.
Yes.
So in 1982, I went. Race fans will know that's the year that Rick Mears made a charge at Gordon Johncock. Johncock held him off a couple of times in the closing laps, and I was hooked. I mean, it was a good race to go to.
Right.
Because back in the 80s, and particularly the races weren't necessarily very close many years. They've figured it out now, since they've all got similar cars and similar engines, that they're going to have a number of cars on that last lap, usually within sight of each other.
Right.
Back in the day, it wasn't uncommon for 2 cars to check out, or just one to check out on the whole field. And so that 82 race was very unusual in how close it was. So I kid that I'm still hoarse from that race all these years later, but I mean, it really hooked me.
Is that one of your favorites?
Oh, yeah.
That you think of because not just because it was your first, because of how close it was?
Yeah, very much so. I was a Mario Andretti fan.
Okay. I
still am.
Right.
And chance I get to talk to him is still a thrill. But as a Mario Andretti fan, you know that you have to find other reasons to celebrate, because he just won the one time, and so many years where they didn't. So Johncock was Mario Andretti's teammate, which as an 11-year-old, that was enough for me.
Sure.
In 82, that was also the year that Kevin Kogan in the front row hit the outside of the main straight and took out some other cars, and we'll leave it for another day to figure out whose fault that was. But Mario was one of the casualties in that. And so instantly my STP pride transferred to Johncock. So that also cemented to me that Rick Mears had to be my foe.
Right.
That was the first year they had to pick between Penske or not. Penske's one of those teams that you either love or you don't love.
Yep.
There's no reason for it. It's a wonderful team owner.
Sure.
The whole program is so class. But when you pick sides, you pick sides. So for my entire childhood, my sister was a Rick Mears fan.
Oh, yeah.
So 4 times I had to sit and watch while I was then cheering Mario and then eventually Michael through the 90s, and just always unrequited. So my favorite races are those that are special to family members of mine. My wife finally relented in 2000 to come, and she drew. We have family pool, so we pick out of a hat, and you can always pick one favorite. And I'm sure we've suggested that she picked somebody who was in the front row or whatever, but she also drew out of a hat Helio Castroneves.
Who's this guy?
And it turns out it's Helio Castroneves. He turns in one of the greatest racers of all time, and he goes back to back, and she's hooked.
Oh, yeah.
The only time she's not chosen Helio was when she chose Sam Hornish one year.
Oh.
Which is definitely in the conversation of the greatest races of all time.
Oh, my gosh,
When Marco or Michael looked for sure they're going to break the Andretti curse, and Sam hunted them both down and won the thing in the closing feet of the race. So I caught her as she swooned as Sam's crossing the finish line. Meanwhile, I'm already, Andretti should have won this race. But my bride is so happy about it, in a race that she probably never thought she'd enjoy. She's now a bigger IndyCar fan than I am. So that was a big one. And then in 2019, my daughter went for the first time and chose Simon Pagenaud because she's always had a thing for the Eiffel Tower. And so, the French guy's in the race. Let's go ahead and pick him. And that one also went down to the last lap.
Oh, it did. Yes,
and,
it did.
So, those are my favorite races, the ones where I can see the hook, get caught in the mouth of the fish, and then they get reeled in. And, that's cool.
It's fun that I can kind of relate a little bit to that. So I'll go backwards from where you went, that 2019 race. Your daughter, big Pagenaud fan that day.
Yeah.
My son, my oldest son, Colt, he's really big into racing. We've taken him to qualifications since he was basically 2. I haven't been to a race yet. I think I'm getting close to that age where I think he could handle it, but I don't know yet. But that year, it was Pagenaud. He is a diehard Alexander Rossi fan. So he was on the opposite side of that. And Rossi made that pass on the last lap, and he's just jumping for joy. And then Pagenaud came in, and after it was over, he looked at me, he's like, "Is over?" And I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, it's over." And he saw Pagenaud putting his hand, he's like, "I don't like that guy." I was like, I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Oh, he may be the nicest guy.
Yeah.
So I got to interview him at the end of Fast Friday today, or this week, I should say.
Right.
And Fast Friday did not go well for the Chevy cars at all,
right.
And Penske in particular. And he gets out of the car and he's smiling, and I was like, "What's that smile?" He says, "This is a Frenchman who's trying to put a happy face on a bad day," But he always does that. He's very much a likable guy.
Yeah. The one I got my wife hooked, and this is a woman that she only liked football. There was nothing else I could actually.
Sure.
And you're talking to a guy that loves all Indy sports. So I'm like, how am I going to get her into racing?
Right.
We had not moved to Indianapolis yet. We were still living in Peoria. We actually had a full day, 2013, Indy 500. Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Heat. So we were doing the Racers and Pacers thing. She was more excited about the Pacers stuff. But I've also, after Tony Stewart went to NASCAR, I became full-on Tony Kanaan fan.
Sure.
And he was kind of borderline getting to the Michael Andretti stage of
where
not
this isn't going to happen. Yeah.
Right. Leading a lot of laps and not winning. That year was a fun year because it was just... I think it's still maybe right up there with the most lead changes. It's one of the top ones.
That was the first year that it was absolutely crazy.
Nuts.
And I thought it'll never happen like this again. And they've had several of them since then.
I mean, the first place is a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And whoever was going to be in second probably had the best chance. And she didn't really understand at the point. But when Dario hit the wall, I think with 2 to go.
You knew.
And it was over. They weren't going to clean that up in time. So I'm jumping up and down. I was like, he got it. He got it. Everybody else was that way too.
Yeah.
But she got hooked too. So she's like, so she thought that was pretty cool. Now that she's been an Indy resident for several years, now she likes the local guy. She likes the Carpenter. She likes Connor Daly's, that kind of stuff. So my favorites that I can think of, though, my first was Fittipaldi's second win.
The orange juice race.
The orange juice race.
Yes.
That's right. And one of my favorites was 92. I mean, that one, still goes down as probably one of the more epic finishes.
And it's a weather race.
It is a weather race, which, you know what? You're good at this. How we kind of bridge everything together here. So let's kind of talk about how weather impacts, and I'll talk more about the postponements with rain and stuff like that, because we've been to a few that have been impacted. 92 is an interesting one. Coldest race, never got above 50 degrees that entire day.
Right.
As far as I remember, one of the highest amount of crashes in one race. That was a wild one.
Oh, listen, and we knew it was going to be from the jump because Roberto Guerrero, who was on the pole, the guy responsible. I mean, the pace car is responsible for for the warm up and the pace laps and whatnot. But the pole sitter, everybody looks at as you're the guy. He didn't make it to the green flag. He crashed on a pace lap.
I mean, he was just like warming his tires up and hit the outside wall, wasn't it?
Yeah, and everybody warms their tires up. Some of them you'll see really, take the wheel back and forth. Some of them will gun it a little bit. And I think it was a combination of the two if my memory serves, but my memory is fading these days. So I'm not 100% sure of my recollection, but that he did some combination of the things that you do to get your tires warm and that they weren't warm and they didn't have any grip. And when people talk about tire compounds, that's something that especially when it's a weather day, to really pay attention to. Because back then, I'm pretty sure it was still Goodyear, now Firestone once again. They have to come up with a tire that'll work at 235 miles an hour in anything from 50 degrees to 105 degrees while cornering at G-forces that you can't even imagine, because it's not an oval. It's a rectangle with slightly soft corners.
Right.
So the task is almost impossible. So the 50 degree end of that is crazy thin margins, because you have to have a tire that'll hold up at high speeds and high temperatures, but somehow also have grip, down at the low end too. So nobody, I think, has ever really faulted Guerrero for that. We felt terrible because he was a wonderful racer who never won the 500, but several top 4 finishes. Right. And that was his last, I think, great chance to win the race.
The last time I think I remember hearing his name, because anytime after that, he's in the back and you're like, oh, there's that guy that maybe blew his shot. Yeah. So, interesting here that I'm reading, and then this comes off the IMS website. There's only been 3 times where they've completely postponed off of the original race. Right. And it didn't necessarily for example, 1915, that was the first postponement. It was actually supposed to be run on a Saturday. Saturday, May 29th, because Memorial Day fell on a Sunday back then, that early on. It wasn't until later that they moved Memorial Day to a Monday, and then they rescheduled it to Monday because there was another rainstorm. So it was actually a 2-day postponement. May 31st.
Sounds like 86.
86 is the next one. So there's only 3 scheduled for Sunday, May 25th, but rain forced postponement of the event until the following day, which was also washed out. The race was then rescheduled for and successfully run on Saturday, May 31st. So that was like a week later.
Yes.
And you said you went to that race. Or?
I went to that race. I was going to go sitting in my family's normal seats in the Southeast Vista. Okay. But when there was a week delay, that changes the equation at the track, because you got to remember only a fraction of, a big fraction, but only a fraction of the people who go are from central Indiana. Sure. A huge number of people who come from out of town. Well, you delay the race by a week, you're not going to get those folks to come back. Right. So my dad worked for Coca-Cola at the time, and at the time, Coca-Cola had a huge presence out at the track, including a suite right on the main straightaway. Well, I'd never come close to that place in my life. All of a sudden, since it's a week delay, second try at it, the boss said, anybody who wants to come, bring your kids. So all of a sudden, I'm eating fancy strawberries in the Coke suite, watching the 86 race. And what I'll never forget, I'm seeing the theme here, the pool weaves in and out of my life because I keep losing it. But that year there was a Coca-Cola pool, and the buy-in wasn't the $5 for our family. The buy-in was, I don't know, it was probably $20 per racer times 33. And so my dad bucked up for my sister and I to split the square. Wow. We got Kevin Cogan, who, it must be said, had his best days behind him. Well, he nearly wins a darn race. Right. Except Bobby Rahal catches him on a restart late in the race. Right. And we see several $100s and go to a second place prize, which is still pretty good. That's not bad. But my sister and I thought we were going to be able to just retire at age 18 at that. Right. because we were going to win that thing. So I've got fond memories of 86. That's fine. And it's interesting that they had to delay it for all week. That's crazy. Yeah, because and I don't know if the decision would be the same today. Do you run it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday if the weather keeps postponing it, or do you just say pick it up and move it to the weekend? People who are making decisions in 86 are not the people who are making the decisions right now. We don't know what Roger Penske would do, and that's actually worth thinking about. Even if we don't have weather in the year we're recording this, we will have weather in future years. Right. And unless somebody puts down on paper this is how we're going to handle it, we won't know how they're going to handle it. it.
Well, I'm sure TV has a big say in a lot of that too.
Yeah.
But, and it's interesting because that leads me to the next year. And this was the last time that we had a postponement. And I was at this race, 1997. Race was scheduled for Sunday, May 25th, postponed by rain. If I remember correctly, they didn't even get started. They got through a lot of I think they got all the way to Jim Neighbors singing Back Home Again in Indiana, and then the skies opened up. So, I mean, they were close to getting that race going. They came back on Monday, on Memorial Day, and I believe they got in, it was only 15 laps. It felt like it was more than that. 15 laps, and then they had to stop because it poured. And I remember being there. I was sitting in the end of turn 4. My mom and stepdad at the time were in a separate part of the track. I was in high school, so it was me and my sister sitting at the end of turn 4 there. I love that race here because I didn't dislike Arie Luyendyk. He'd already won before.
You wanted a new face.
Well, and here's the thing. I was already kind of mad because to this day, that's the track record that year for lap speed. Arie Luyendyk holds it, I think it's like at 236 or 238 or something like that. Second, you know who had second and was beat that year? No. Tony Stewart.
Oh.
And I was a diehard Tony Stewart fan. I'm a little bit raw.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Tony win a 500 badly.
You and several million other people.
Oh, I know. And I was fortunate enough that when I was younger, we'd go see like the USAC in Rush County, and he raced down there. Sure. Had no idea who the dude was when I was a kid. But my dad brought it up to me when I went to that 500 that year, and he pulls out a picture. And my aunt, a lot of my family's from Rush County, so she got us in to be able to give a checkered flag to the winner.
Oh, wow.
She goes, "Who's that guy?" I go, "I don't know." She's like, "That's Tony Stewart." I was like, "That's me with Tony Stewart." And I mean, I was probably like 6 or 7 years old.
No recollection whatsoever.
Nope. I mean, I remember going to the races, but I didn't remember who the winner was. I just thought it was cool. I was out on the track and taking a picture with this guy.
Both were a lot smaller then.
Yes. My favorite part about that race, though, so it rained. We didn't even go. I was getting mad. I'm one of those people in antsy, and I like to get there early. And my mom was like, "It's going to rain. We're not going." And I'm watching the television pre-race coverage, probably Wish TV, and they're like, "We're gearing up for the race," and they're going through the pre-race ceremonies, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, "We're going to miss it." And then it rains. Yeah. So we end up going on Monday. We get there for 15 laps, get the whole opening ceremonies, and I've never seen it rain so hard in my entire life. And there's nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. And you're thinking they're going to wait it out. But we were there all afternoon. You hear Tom Carnegie say, "We're going to do it again tomorrow." Yeah. Same thing as 86 with you. And so I was still in school. I think it was my last week of school. And Mom's like, "All right, we're going to go. So you and your sister, we're pulling you out of school. I mean, you got a week left. It's fine."
I love your mom.
And very smart lady. But they basically said, "You don't need to take it. Just come on in.
Just come on in.
Just come on in." And I was actually surprised because that's the cool part for me is, I mean, I love the race in itself. I love just how many people are there. Especially when I was younger, looking either down at turn 1 or turn 4 and the massive sea of people gives me goosebumps. Yep. And I was really worried that Tuesday. I was like, "It's not going to be like that." But it was actually a really good crowd considering people were going back to work. We're coming off the holiday weekend. And Arie Luyendyk ended up winning that one.
You still haven't gotten over that.
I have. Well, and the funny part is, Tony never really had a good shot. Like he got in trouble in the pits, I think, with mechanical issues, and his car just finally gave out. Like at the very end. My mom told me she saw it. It was away from us. It was between the short chute of 1 and 2 is where they were sitting, and it was like maybe with 10 laps left, his car just dies, and he's in the warm up lane, and he gets up and he just takes a bow. He's like, "What are you going to do?" Whatever. So
that's a race that I missed.
Is it?
Yeah. So I missed most of them during the split, believe it or not. I was working out in Colorado, so I was more likely to see the Pikes Peak race than to actually be able to get back. Still young in my career, so the boss would be like, "No, you don't get that weekend off. That's the holiday weekend you're working."
Right. Well, and that was a weird year, too, because the engines were, I mean, it was more like stock cars than it was and this isn't a weather thing, but I would say, as you consider when your kiddos will go to the track for the first time, the decision was different 15 years ago because they were still on stock blocks, and my gosh, they were loud. Yes.
Now that's not to say you shouldn't bring some hearing protection for the little ones now, but if you went back in the day, depending when your day was, and you thought this is just I can't deal with this. It's much different now because all the cars are turbocharged, so it's much, much quieter again.
I would say the loudest race, it's funny because everybody, especially when the Brickyard 400 came in here and everybody was, oh my gosh, NASCAR, so loud. And it is. But I would say the loudest race, the only time I can recall in my memory was the year that Buddy Lazier won. I think that may have been the first year that they made that switch to that engine. My ears were ringing for like a day or two. It was really loud.
Yeah, I remember coming back for the first time after that and not realizing the consequence of that move. And I was people would like slide me these earplugs, and I'm like, I don't need earplugs. Right. I've been going since I was 11 years old. I need them. Oh my gosh, who has earplugs? This is unbelievable.
It was super loud. It was super loud. Okay, so what's interesting about this too, Scott? It's not here, but I know this for a fact because I've done a few stories on it. The Indy 500 has never, ever been run in the month of June, even with some of the delays and the postponements and everything like that. And you think how close Memorial Day is, I mean. No,
that is true. I never thought about that. It's been run in August, but it hasn't run in June.
Well, now that's true. I mean, we couldn't have said that. We could have said prior to last year that there's only been 1 month it's been running.
You would think with the the moving target that the weekend is that you would hit a 30th, hit a 29th, and
like eventually it would happen. I mean, like
trivia man.
Well, think about this year. I think the 31st is Monday.
Yeah,
and so luckily the weather looks beautiful, so I don't think we have anything to worry about.
I hope you're right.
Knock on wood.
That's Formica. Not real wood.
It doesn't matter. It's close enough. Partial postponements. 1967 race was rained out after 18 laps and finished the following day. In 1973, race was started on Monday, May 28th, but the first lap accident involving Salt Walther.
Yeah.
Forced the red flag.
One of the worst moments in Indianapolis Motor Speedway history. Yeah.
Was that a fatality?
Did Salt pass from that? The Swede Savage crash and the Salt Walther crash get mingled in my mind.
Okay.
No, Salt survived that, but it was horrifying.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
So they restarted then on Tuesday, May 29th after rain began falling during the second parade lap. The race finally got underway on Wednesday, May 30th, but rain again caused the race to be stopped and will complete after finishing 332.5 miles. So there's that. That's a partial postponement. And then, let's see, the additional rain notes. 1926 race is the first race to have stopped by rain twice in the same day. Now, it's actually happened more recently, which I'll talk about in a second. The race was temporarily halted because of rain on lap 71, was declared officially over when rain once again stopped the proceedings at the 400-mile mark. 1940, the final 50 laps were run under the caution light of rain. 50 laps.
So it's probably worth talking about this.
Yeah.
When you look, look at the Marmon Wasp in 1911.
Yeah.
One of the things that jumps out at you is the wheels, the tires were narrow. The thought back then was smaller contact patch, the better, because you'll slow down if you have something fat. Well, we find decades later, the fatter, the better in terms of cornering, and it doesn't really diminish your straight line speed. In fact, gives you more grip when you need actual burst. So those tires, it would have been easier to run a race in rain in 1911 than it would right now, because there were marginal grooves in the tires.
Right.
They weren't that different than what you'd run on the road, which had to be made to run on a dirt road, an asphalt road. I mean, asphalt roads were a luxury back then.
Sure.
They were bricks at the Brickyard.
Right.
In fact, I don't even know if proper asphalt was a thing yet. But so the tires could handle a lot more back then. Now people are like, well, they ran the Grand Prix in the rain. Why can't they run? If you try to run a 200 mile an hour lap, much less a 230 mile an hour lap, on a tire that has no groove, you will slide into the wall.
Yeah.
The Grand Prix tires are also slick unless it's going to rain, and they have tires that have grooves.
Rain tires,
not deep grooves. You couldn't run in a monsoon, and you sure don't want to run in lightning.
Right.
But you could run with water on the track. So it's as different as just saying there's two completely different pieces of equipment, one that can run in the rain and one that can't. If you tried to put grooves in a tire that's going 230 miles an hour around a corner, the tire would not last 2 laps.
Right.
It would disintegrate.
Shred, yep.
Yeah. So it will never, in my estimation, while in the current technology, happen that we'll be able to run in the rain.
Right.
Because they just can't make a tire that would work.
Which makes it interesting because, they've got this format that they've done for the last, 7, 8, 9 years. Grand Prix early in the month, 500 at the end of the month.
Yep.
Can run in the rain in the first race, can't run in the rain in the second. So it's always kind of interesting.
Well, and the other thing about that too is if you flip them, and they won't, that's not. I'm not suggesting that they could or should.
Right.
But if you did, at least you'd have some wiggle room to run the 500 again. When 86 happened, when 97 happened, you've got other races backed up right behind that. You've got other promoters saying, "I need you here."
Right.
On the other hand, the momentum from the 500 is what drives the entire series.
Correct.
I mean, the series exists because of the 500.
Correct.
Not the other way around.
I mean, it's called Indy Car for a reason.
That's exactly right. These cars are built to go fast at 16th and Georgetown, and it just so happens that they also work everywhere from Milwaukee to Sonoma to Japan if they're racing there that year.
Right.
So they can't afford to back up the schedule just because of one rainout, and yet they can't afford to run the schedule if they haven't had that race.
Correct.
Because nobody wants to see the winner of last year's race nearly as much as they want to see the winner of this year's race.
That's correct. Down the line, so I mentioned the 1940 final 50 laps were run under caution. That must have been an exciting and thrilling end to that race. 2001, the race was stopped on lap 155 due to rain. The race was restarted after a 16-minute, 34-second delay. 2001. Trying to remember who would have been. I
don't even remember that delay. That would have been Elio.
That would have been Elio's first? Second year.
I think.
In the back-to-back?
You're going to make me do research, aren't you?
Indy. So this is why we have computers in front of her.
Yeah. No, you're right. That was his first year. He won in 01 and 02.
Year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's screaming at the podcast right now.
Elio!
He got 2000 wrong. It's 1 and 2, not 00. My apologies.
I do know the next ones, though. 2004, race was stopped by rain twice. The race was halted for 1 hour, 47 minutes because of rain on lap 28. Was declared officially over when rain once again stopped the race at the 450-mile mark. That was Buddy Rice. Mm-hmm. So that would have been Letterman and Ray Hall's first as owner.
Right.
Indy 500 win. The reason why I remember that, if you follow Scott's social media post, by the way, you would have noticed that he posted a picture of me storm chasing in 2004.
Yep.
That was a very active severe weather season.
Sure was. I
was not at that race, but I remember my part-time job was working at WLBC Radio in Muncie at the time. And while we didn't have smartphones where I could listen to the race over the phone, we had a direct call-in line. Mm-hmm. Usually it was for like the people that were calling in call-in shows, and your hold would be what's ever on air. So I just call the board op during the 500 and be like, hey, just patch me through. I just want to listen. So we all did. There was a tornado warning, I think, for the second delay. First one was legit.
Right.
Rain, heavy thunderstorms. And then the second round came in, and that was a legit tornado warning. I think it was just southwest of Indianapolis in Hendricks County. It was out by the airport. So it's taken like a line, like it's heading to the track. So Tom Carnegie's getting on their bike and says, evacuate the premises. Mm-hmm. I can't do a proper impersonation, but you get the drift.
Well, you want the other impersonation from that year.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman was the pace car driver.
Was he really?
So between Tom Carnegie and Morgan Freeman, both of them kind of a god in their own like, you would have thought they could have warded this off.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, man, you could have just had him on the rain delays just read you something.
Yeah, right?
Both of them.
And in 1943.
Right. Okay. And then the last, and this is kind of remarkable to me, and I say it every year, but it's getting more remarkable every year. Mm-hmm. The last rain issue that we've had during the race. We've had a couple of close calls. Mm-hmm. I remember one probably like 4 years ago where just opened up about a half hour after the race was over.
Yep.
2007. Race was stopped twice by rain. The race was halted for 2 hours, 57 minutes because of rain on lap 113, but declared officially over when rain once again stopped the race at the 415-mile mark.
First race I took my in-laws to.
Oh, I bet they were happy about that.
They were good-natured about it. Yeah. I think they were like, I'm not sure we're going to do this thing. I'm like, this is actually really, really rare. The other thing I remember about that, and this probably frustrated you, Tony Kanaan should have won that race.
Yep.
And to lose it to a teammate who was also a very close friend, there was something full circle about it then when Franchitti's the one who ended the race that TK ended up winning.
Yep.
So, I remember I was a Franchitti fan. Mm-hmm. But felt like, man, I don't know that this is right.
Yeah, you felt like there was more left out on the table that they could have had a better ending. Yeah. Yeah, but that's how the 500 goes.
Isn't it?
And then, like, you and I both have lived outside of Indianapolis.
Right.
And I've talked with, like, race fans, and they always would just get frustrated. They love that NASCAR, you can do a green-white checker. I'm like, that's just not how it rolls at Indy. And that's part of the dice you roll.
Yeah.
You know?
Although, every year you hear that call louder and louder. Why don't they do that? Why don't they do that?
Yeah.
Because it's not the Indianapolis 502.5 miles.
That's exactly. Well, and I think back, and I was explaining this to my wife. They're like, why would they end it like that? There doesn't seem a lot of drama. I'm like, at that moment, maybe not.
Right.
If you weren't really paying attention. But I think back to that 2013 race, and there's hundreds of examples you could probably look at. But the 2013 race, does Tony Kanaan dive into one, passing two cars? He passed Marco, and he passes Ryan Hunter-Reay. He was the third car coming out of four when they did that restart with 4 to go or 3 to go.
Yep.
Does he dive into one if he's thinking this race is not going the distance?
Takuma Sato, maybe a 3-time winner now.
Correct.
If he doesn't make,
dive in front of Dario,
a diving move that he knew maybe, and he would say this, percentages say I probably won't be able to pull this off, but I want to win this race. And so then, as soon as that happens, you have to watch in the last 10 laps of the race, the moment that could end it either in terms of a definitive move to the front or put it under yellow. And maybe that's the downfall of the longtime fan not helping the new fan realize this is a 500-mile race, right? Not because our sponsor has 500 in their name, or because we've, if you look at the other tracks that have a 200 or a 300, oftentimes they don't have anything to do with laps. They like do, kilometers or whatever just to get that round number. It is a 500-mile race, not an inch longer, not an inch shorter, unless the rain forces it to be shorter. But yeah, you're exactly right. That definitive moment can happen anytime in the last 30 miles, put it that way.
So hopefully we keep up the good luck. That's all it's interesting. In 105 Indianapolis 500s.
The odds are that we would have had many more, and we complain about it when they happen, but they're so few and far between. It's May. May's a horrible weather month.
The second wettest month on record in Indianapolis. And prior to the... So they changed the climate numbers, the 30-year averages every decade. So this is a new decade. Right. So prior to this, May was the wettest month. Now it's the second wettest month. I mean, it's in the top. It's marginal, too. Right. I mean, you're talking several inches of rain that we average every year here for the month of May. It's just fascinating that we've only had a handful that have really been. Yeah. Listen, whoever's calling the shots up top likes racing. Right. I was going to look at the weather service. They got some interesting things too. Hottest temperature, and we darn near passed this a few years ago. 92 degrees. Yeah. That's the hottest race day temperature. That was in 1937. But 2018, we hit 91. I remember sitting out there and watching that. That would have been, that would have been the 100th, right? No. 17 was the 100. No. Yeah. I can't remember. It was hot. It was hot. Yeah. I remember it being very hot. 91. Or 16. Was 16? 16 was 100. Yeah, 21. Math. Rossi won. I was told there would be no math. So. Wait a minute. If you don't know math. Well, that's right. If you want me to diagram a sentence, I got you. Don't ask me to subtract stuff. So here's interesting. 2004, which we mentioned that was the severe weather. They got the two rains. 3.8 inches of rain that day. Oh, my word. That's flooding rain. That's the wettest day. Yeah. Now, of course, they're taking into account the entire day. They're not factoring in the 3 hours of the race or whatever. Yeah, but a rain 2 hours before the race can delay the race. Absolutely. That's the other thing about it. That's frustrating for everybody. Right. It takes 2 hours to drive the track-ish, So highest wind speed. Now, this is interesting, too, because you'd think May is kind of a transitional month. You could have some pretty blustery, warm days. 1995 had 18-mile-per-hour winds. That's it. That's it. Wow. Which is also be worth watching this year, and you would know better than I, but this spring seems to have been windier than most. I would agree. So if that carries over, I just aced my weather exam. Yeah, look at you go. 92, obviously we talked about, was the coldest, 58 degrees. That was the high that day. Good finish, though, so it worked. Oh, it was a great finish. 97 wasn't far off 60 degrees, so pretty far extreme. Just goes to show month of May in Indianapolis, 92 for the warmest temperature, 58 for the coldest high.
What I like is it's a 2.5 mile oval, but when you have the outside grandstands, it's much more than that. You can tell where people sit based on their sunburn.
Oh, yes.
So we're in the Southeast Vista every year, which means that I have a very distinctive burn pattern on the back of my neck and the back of both my arms.
Yes.
And depending on whether I got cooler duty tops of my legs or not, right?
Right.
Somebody who's in the fourth turn will have the exact opposite pattern on them. They will have a fried face, throat, fronts of their arms. And when you pass each other walking out, sometimes you park in the same parking lot. You just look, it's like you went to a completely different county.
Well, and the place is so big too that it could be sunny on one part of the track.
It often is.
Yeah.
And raining in the other one.
Well, that's also true.
Yeah.
The place is massive.
Raindrops in turn 4. No, it's sunny. Oh, it is raining.
Yep.
Whoa, it looks terrible over there.
Yep. I remember, it may have been a few years ago, I was listening to the radio, but I was in the media booth and or on the kind of patio out there watching, and they're like, we're getting sprinkles in turn 4. I literally could stand, just turned around, saw the mess of the snake pit, and then past that, I've got there. I mean, you could just see like a darker cloud over turn 4. Meanwhile, the sun is on top of us at the media center on the front stretch. Last bit, average temperature between 1911 and 2017. 77.6, average minimum 57.2. My forecast, 75 for a high. Overnight low of 54. So
proudly
we are extremely average. And we'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
We will take it. Before I let you go, I'm not going to make you make a pick because you are now official,
Mario Andretti.
I'm sure he'll be in the 2-seater probably like he always is, right?
I always think he's going to run around and join the field. Yeah.
I'll ask you this. I'm not going to ask you a winner, but is it going to be a second, third, fourth time winner, or are we going to have a first time winner this year?
I have not seen a field that was more likely to produce a first time winner since the split. I think that there are, the first 5 races this year already, we've got 4 first-time winners.
Right.
So, I'll go ahead and say I'll cast my lot with the guys you don't know yet. Rossi type, who's now a fixture. So the champions versus the field, you're taking the field. I'm taking the field. Particularly since half the champions qualified very poorly, and they have a motor that doesn't seem to match up to the others. So,
and the one guy that I keep thinking, because he may be the best driver of our of my generation here in Scott Dixon, wins just about everything, but he just has one 500 victory.
Yeah.
And it was a while ago.
Yeah, he's the Mario of this generation.
He really is.
Yeah.
He really is a great driver, just can't get over the next hump to get number 2.
Meanwhile, you got Will Power, who may be the greatest qualifier of our generation.
Sure.
Who's starting for 32nd.
Barely got in.
Yeah.
Barely got in. We almost had what was the year that none of the Penske cars got in?
94?
Yeah, mid-90s somewhere. I think 94 is right.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw had other Penske cars get in, but it's been a while since a Penske car did not, at least just one, didn't make the field.
And I will tell you, since you brought that up, that started to bring me around to Penske. I told you about
you told
my
me this
sister.
story.
And he said, in effect, we're not going to buy somebody else's seat because we didn't qualify, because we didn't do the job. We're not going to take somebody else's seat. And other teams have made different decisions. And financially, it can be a huge boon to a team that wants to race the whole series to say, well, Ryan Hunter-Ray failed to make a race, ended up, taking over a spot that somebody else had qualified.
Right.
Tremendously controversial thing. Far be it for me to say what the right or wrong answer is, but I thought Penske's answer in that moment was pretty darn classy.
You kind of think the same thing about Hinchcliffe a few years ago when he got bumped out.
Yeah, same thing. Not a guy he's always on everybody's radar, but he's not somebody that I necessarily followed very closely. But, when you come out and you say, these are the rules that we signed up for, and we failed to do what we needed to do to participate in the next step. Good luck to those who made it.
Sure.
Charlie Kimball this year, everybody was looking for him to be, very frustrated. And, you're a veteran and you're not going to get a chance. And he was like, listen, this is the greatest place in the world. I'm just glad we got to do it in front of fans. And I'm sorry that we didn't come up with the speed that we needed to come up with. I really like the racers who insist that the place is bigger than their moment.
Yes.
And I tend to think that the track shines on them later because of decisions like that. Maybe Hinchcliffe's the guy this year.
Maybe.
Could be.
He's due.
Yeah.
He's had some bad luck.
Yeah. Well,
at this track.
Listen, place nearly cost him his life.
Sure did.
And he keeps coming back at it.
Sure did.
So there's something there, too.
All right, Scott. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your perspective. Good luck on Sunday.
I'll need it.
And we'll be listening. Now stay tuned, as they say.
There you go.
All right, more Weather Weekly after this. All right, quick look at your forecast here for the last week of May. Hard to believe. Man, this spring is already flying by. Looks like we finally kind of cool things down. Active weather pattern here for your Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Showers and thunderstorms. Could have a few strong thunderstorms as well, specifically heading into Thursday night into Friday morning with a low and then a cold front moving through. As we gear up for your Friday morning, we finally kind of cool things back to near normal, actually a little below average for the holiday weekend, around 70 on Saturday, mid 70s for race day on Sunday. And it looks like Memorial Day looks really nice with highs in the upper 70s. May touch closer to 80 as we head back to work as we open up the month of June next Tuesday. Normal high, by the way, for this time of year, late May, early June, should be in the upper 70s. So looking good. And most importantly, we're looking dry for the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500. My thanks to my coworker, my good friend, Scott Sander on all things Indy 500. Make sure you check him out on social media. He also has a great podcast to get you geared up for the day, the Daybreak Drive-In. He does that every Monday through Friday. Real quick hitters of all the news headlines you need to know, plus the weather forecast as well. And please check him out. One of the new voices on the Indy Car Radio Network. I'm so excited for him. He'll be one of the pit reporters for the Indy 500 coming up this Sunday. Very, very cool. My thanks to you for checking this out. Episode number 16 for Weather Weekly. And be sure to make sure to check out all of our great podcasts here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Discover more from Storm Track 8 Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.